Agyanatimanandhasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurnmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama.
Shri Gurudeva ki jai.
So, yesterday we began to remember the glories of Param Pujapad Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhav Gosvāmī Maharaj. And very touching pastime has been described by our Shiksha Guru, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Gosvāmī Maharaj. And he was describing how when he came to the lotus feet of his Gurudev, he came with a big collection of upadhis, designations, because he was from a Brahmin family. They had so many rules and regulations they used to follow. But of course, some of them are compatible with the Maryada of Vaishnavism, but many of them were incompatible with the Maryada of Vaishnavism. And in retrospect, Pujapad Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Gosvāmī Maharaj, he's remembering. He's speaking when he was very old, but remembering when he was very young. Only when there's some time and some distance, then the person can realize, oh, my Gurudev was so patient with me. Very, very patient. And slowly, by his mercy, adjusting and removing all of my worldly attachments and bodily identification, step by step. So we heard how when he first came to the Math, then his Guru Maharaj deliberately made sure that the devotees who were cooking, the brahmacharis who were cooking and serving, they're all from Brahmin families. So that he would take. But then he was taking in his room alone. And gradually by hearing about the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there are so many pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For example, when Srila Haridas Thakur passed away, and then all the devotees sat in lines and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was serving the rice with his own hands to all the devotees. So hearing such pastimes, then he realized, oh, I should not eat alone. I should take prasadam, sitting with all the devotees. Because in the Varnashram Dharma, Brahminical culture, one who is a Brahmin will not sit with people of other caste to eat, because it's considered they will lose their castes. But what is the jati of a Vaishnava? They're the Achyuta Gotra. Just like when we went to Navadvip and we made the vrat. We said the vrat. So when you make a vrat, you have to say the location where we are. Bharat, Jambudvip, Bharat Bhumi, on the bank of Ganga, eastern side or western side. By mantra you say the place you are and the time. What is it? Vaivasvata Manvantare we are not just the date 2026. We're in the cycle of Vaivasvata Manu, in the second half of the day of Lord Brahma. So by Vedic mantras we say the date and the time and everything. Then you have to say your name and what your gotra is, and Achyuta Gotra. You have to say the exact time according to the astrological calculation. What is the muhurta? Actually, during the Parikrama, that when we had to go to make the sankalpa, then that there was an inauspicious time in that morning, and there was auspicious time before, during Mangalartik, and auspicious time later, by the time we finished the Katha in the Nandanacharya Bhavan. But the space of time we had to make the Sankalpa was not an auspicious muhurta. So when I came to Mangalartik and I came before the deities, I said all the mantras for you. actually, to the deities before Mangalartik. And then when we went, that was for show. Yeah. I learned this from my Gurudev. Once we were in Rome, actually, at the Panchatattva temple in Rome. And on that morning, we had to leave to go to the next place. But the time that was suitable for leaving, for us, it was actually inauspicious muhurta. So before that time came, Gurudev gave me his danda and said, take this and put it by the door. Well, that was during the earlier auspicious time to begin the journey, according to the Panjika. So then I took his danda and set off and put it by that means his journey had begun in the auspicious time. And then when we actually left, but at least the journey had begun at that time. So in the same way, before Navadvip Parikrama, on that morning, I came and said all the mantras before the deities on behalf of all of you. So, gradually, he came to know I should take prasadam along with the devotees. Then, he would not walk on the land which was owned by an oil merchant or a Vaishya. But on Parikrama, they came to stay there and take prasadam. Then he remembered he had heard from his Guru Maharaj that the dust of Navadvip, actually this is Braja. And Srila Gokshodas Bauji Maharaj said even the wealthiest person in the world cannot purchase one particle of dust of this dham. So then he went. He stepped on the land. He said, but when I stepped on the land, then I was still hesitant to take prasadam there, in that place. Because the person who was sponsoring the prasadam, he was a Vaishya. So then Srila Bhakti Madhav Gosvāmī Pad said to him, Swapacha grihete magiya kaibo pivo saraswatija. So we sang this song before class yesterday. When shall I eat? Begging from the homes of the untouchables. And when will I drink the water from the Saraswati river and roll on the bank, loudly calling out Krishna's names? So the devotees had taken some flat rice and mixed it with some water and put some go in there. So when his Gurudev said, Swapacha grihete magiya kaivo, then the Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Gosvāmī Maharaj, then he quickly took some of that flat rice right in front of his Gurudev and put it in his mouth. Yesterday was also the disappearance of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. So really being Paramahamsa, a liberated person, we cannot imagine what is the level of his vision. But when he used to take prasadam, once one dog gave birth to some puppies, about 8 puppies nearby. And when he was eating, then the puppies, they used to run and try to eat from his plate. Then after that, the next day when he was eating, then his servant Bihari was trying to keep the puppies away. But because he was so old, 140 years old, his eyelids were falling over his eyes, so he could not see. And he was just feeling around his plate. 1 puppy, 2 puppy, 3 puppies. Hey, where's the missing puppy? Come on. I will not eat until the other puppy is here. And then he would take prasad with the puppies all around his plate eating at the same time. He said, they are the dogs of the Dham. So it cannot be imitated, but we can infer from his behavior that his experience of reality is real. And our experience is of the Dham. No, we are experiencing some covering of the Dham, not its pure nature. So then, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Gosvāmī Maharaj, he said, once I was traveling with my Gurudev, and we came to Assam. And there was in Assam, it is a place very famous for growing tea. So Vaishnavas don't drink tea. And so there was a very wealthy family there, and they owned the whole estate who were growing tea. And that family invited all the devotees to come to their home and honor prasadam. And so then Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, his Guru Maharaj was going there, all the devotees were going there to this program, and they'd also take prasadam on the big estate of the family who owned the tea company. So they asked him, oh, are you coming to the program? And he said, oh, actually, I'm not feeling very well today. Mm-hmm. Because of the knots of ahankar. I am a Brahmin. I only take prasad in the house of a Brahmin, not a Vaishya. So then, when I said, I'm not feeling very well today, then Srila Bhakti Dayat Madhav Maharaj, he said, Kusti vipera ramani patibrata shiromani pati lagi koila veshar seva pati lagi koila veshar seva. So this Tripadi, it is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Gosvāmī Pada has written it. But who is speaking? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the Gambhira, towards the end of his pastimes here. And he's teaching the Shikshastakam and explaining Shikshastakam to his most intimate associates, Swarup Damodar and Roy Ramananda. So in the last verse, there, Shrimati, it is the mood of Radhika. So Mahaprabhu is speaking, but speaking in the mood of Shrimati Radhika, speaking to her Sakhis. And Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar are those very Sakhis, actually. So they're assisting Mahaprabhu in his role of realizing Radhika's bhav, speaking to her Sakhis. So in the last verse of Shikshastakam, Radhika is saying, Aslis Shava Padat Pratham Pinastumam Adarshnam Mam Hatam Karotava Yatatatat Va Vidadatu Lampato Mat Pranana Atastu Sa Eva Napara. See, Krishna, he may make me feel like the most fortunate gopi in the whole universe by neglecting all others and just meeting only with me. He may do it. Or he may neglect me. He may break my heart by never giving me the chance to see him. Or he may give me the chance to see him of meeting with another gopi. Yatha tatha va vidadatu lampato. His lampat, he is full of greed to relish amorous pastimes. That means here, calm. Amorous pastimes means prem, pure love. So Radhika said, whatever he does, Mat prananatastu sa eva napara. He is my pran. And there is no one else. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was explaining this verse, that means Radhika is opening her heart to her Sakhis. She told the history from the Puranas of there was a Brahmin who had leprosy. And his wife was Kushti Vipar Ramani, the wife of the Vipra, the Brahmin with leprosy. Pativrata Shiramani. She was the crushed jewel of Pativrata. Those ladies who are completely chaste and dedicated to the service of their husbands. So Patilagi, for the sake of her husband, Koila Vaishar Seva, she served a Vaishya, a prostitute. So what happened? Her husband was sad because he developed a desire to enjoy with one prostitute. So then, and the wife knew that that prostitute would not meet with the husband, and they did not have money to pay also. So without saying anything, she just went to the home of that prostitute who was quite wealthy and began to do service there. She was decorating the place, smearing the cow dung and making patterns with rice flour, auspicious, and made it so beautiful. And then that courtesan, she inquired, "You are doing all this service, why? Perhaps I should pay you." She said, "I only want one payment. You please kindly accept my husband." And perhaps you know the story that she agreed. But then when she was carrying her husband because he had pain from the leprosy, so she was carrying him and bringing the husband there in the dark, because the prostitute said that you'll have to bring him in the middle of the night in the dark, because if the other customers know that he's also my customer, if it becomes public knowledge, then I'll lose all my business. So she was carrying her husband at night through the jungle. And there she did not see one rishi. And she was carrying her husband, and her husband's foot touched him. And that rishi gave her curse. Your husband should die. And when the sun rises in the morning, so then she made a vow, then the sun will not rise in the morning. And by her chastity, then the sun did not rise, and all the devatas became disturbed. What will happen with the universe? Now day has been cancelled. So Brahma, Shiva and Vishnu, they all came to her. And they said that you should retract your words. And she said, "No, because my husband will die. He should not die." They said, "Just retract your words and he will die and we will bring him back to life." So when Brahma, Shiva and Vishnu, they gave her this promise, then only she believed it. And so it unfolded in this way. But Radharani, she is telling this story to describe what is the ideal of love. The ideal of love is everything for you, nothing for me. Understand? That the wife of that Brahmin, she did everything for the object of her love. And what was she getting back? Nothing. In fact, it's extremely humiliating. A person would consider it totally humiliating. What she's tolerating. But there are two sides to this equation of love. On one side, everything for you. On the other side, nothing for me. Prema is like this. So Radhika herself has said, Akai tav Krishna prem, Jeno jamba nadahem, say prem and riloka na hoy. Pure love without any duplicity. In other words, without any selfish motive, is not available in this world. It is like the Jambunadhem. Here in this world we only have 24 karat gold. But there's such a gold on the heavenly planets. It comes from the jambu trees in the heavenly planets, which are miles high, and then when the fruit falls from those trees, then it's so soft, the juice splashes everywhere. And it makes rivers of juice. And the waves of the juice wash onto the bank and dry, and it makes this gold. And this gold is only worn by the Devatas. Their gold is not like our gold on this planet. So Radharani is saying that Jambu Nadahem, that gold is not available in this world. So in the same way, such love which is so pure, not available in this world. That's why when we hear, if a person with material sanskars will hear about this pastime of the wife of the Brahman with leprosy, they'll become disgusted. What is this? Abuse, exploitation. What about women's rights? So this story is not about anything of this world. That's why you cannot hear it, keeping your own worldly samskars. Why are we sitting in the morning chanting for hours? Why? Prabhu kohi Vaishnav seva nam sankirtan dui kori shikar pabi Shri Krishna charan. We have to serve and we have to chant as well. Because without chanting, we cannot realize the import of this katha. We cannot realize why Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj is taking prasadam with the puppies. We cannot realize why Radharani is telling this history of the Brahmin with leprosy and his chaste wife. We cannot feel it in the heart unless Chaito Darpanamarjanam, unless the mirror of the heart becomes cleansed from worldly sanskars, which cause us to interpret everything in a mundane way. Then we cannot hear it. We cannot realize the purport of all these things. So Param Pujapad Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhav Gosvāmī Maharaj, he could understand this, and so slowly, stay in the mat, chant every day, come preaching, and step by step, how Sri Guru is so kind and so merciful, making this very delicate operation that we can gradually, Chaito Darpana Marjanam will go on, and we can slowly realize the error of our ways. And it will take place in Sadhu Sangha. There's no substitute for the association of very high level realized Vaishnavas. It will not happen in the independent life. So it's so beautiful to hear how Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharti Goswami Maharaj, he's reminiscing of his life and how gradually he was cured of the Bhava Rog, material existence, by the mercy of Sri Guru. So the teaching here is that externally, here's the point, externally it appeared as if the wife of that Brahmin was serving the prostitute. But she was not serving the prostitute. She was doing it for her husband. The husband was the only object of service, even though it looks like the service was to the Vesha, to the prostitute. So in the same way, through this, Srila Bhakti Dayita Madhav Maharaj was teaching him, you are not going there to the home of the owner of the tea company to take prasadam in his house to please him. But you should think that you are doing it to please Gurudev and Vaishnavas. So then, when Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj, he went to the estate of the tea company owner, and his Guru Maharaj came there and was preaching, and then he accepted prasadam there, not to please the host, but to please his Gurudev. Then he said, the last of my self-imposed restrictions was finally dissolved. And he said, after that, when I would take prasadam, then I could realize the transcendental glories of prasadam. So very beautiful pastimes. We'll continue so more in the evening. I want to ask to the devotees, because this is morning Ishtagoshti, if you have a question, you can raise your hand. Raise your hand if you have a question.
Как совместить то, что вы сейчас сказали, с нашим реальным вот пребыванием здесь и сейчас? Как этот трансцендентный опыт наложить на нашу непосредственную реальность? Я имею в виду не тогда, когда мы в санге. Тут все понятно. Тут все друг друга понимают, и что к чему тоже понимают. А когда мы выходим за границы санги, как это трансцендентное накопление, которое в душе, чтобы оно не растерялось, не шокировало, не создавало проблемы, и так далее. Спасибо.
Gurudev, how can we combine the transcendental experience that we receive here from you with our daily life and daily interactions with people outside our Sangha? Because here, when we're with devotees, it's all clear, it's all very harmonious, but when we come back, how do we keep this priceless teachings and this mode of thinking without creating disturbance in our interactions with people? Надеюсь, нормально.
Parapujpad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, he said that when he first came to associate with Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur on Parikrama, then at the end of the Parikrama, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur gave Diksha. And then after giving Diksha, devotees were leaving. And Prabhupada was saying, oh, you are cheating me. You are all cheating me. Because you came here and you said, oh Gurudev, I am taking shelter of you. And the relation between Guru and Shishya is eternal. But now, you have a return ticket and you're leaving. And you are leaving and going back to material life. But you just promised me that you were to surrender to Krishna. Diksha Kali Bhakta Kori Atma Samarpan. Say Kali Krishna Kari Tari Atma Sri Radha Shama Sundara Ji ki jai. So really, if we want to get the full benefit of bhakti, we have to come to the lotus feet of Gurudev with a one-way ticket. It is very delicate. It does not mean that those who are householders, that they cannot surrender to Shri Guru. They can also surrender. And Prabhupada would tell the devotees, go to this town, you should preach in this state, and so on. Actually, they were different. There was no India then. There were different countries. Assam was a country. Bengal was a country. Orissa was a country. So they're all separate. So he would send them to the different desh of what is now India to preach. But we cannot have a double life. That means the whole life is for the service of Guru and Krishna. So whatever is necessary just to maintain. If someone has to do some honest work to maintain, they can do it, but it should be minimized. Just only what is necessary to live and to go on parikrama. But the actual full life, all body, mind and words should be in the service of Sri Krishna. It cannot be part-time. This is the difference between the very neophyte, we can say, who has Laukik Shraddha. Laukik Shraddha means faith, but it is like a material faith. The faith is, I want to serve Krishna because of this mental reason and this intellectual reason, and it gives me some enjoyment. It gives happiness to me. And I like hanging around with these people. So it's a faith, a Laukik Shraddha means a faith which is conventional. But Paramarthik Shraddha is transcendental. When the disciple surrenders to their Guru, then the divine seva vritti, transcendental seva vritti, is imparted into the heart. And now that soul, he considers, my whole life is to please Krishna. And Sri Krishna has appeared in the form of Sri Guru. So there's a difference between that person who comes forward and thinks, I, according to my conventional idea of who I am going to practice this devotional service. The person who I am now, with whom I am acquainted, who I was before, now has the veneer, some covering, some wrapping of being a Vaishnava. I am the same person in a Vaishnava cloth. But the person who has the Paramarthik Shraddha, then he remembers, Jarayati asu ya kosham nirginam analoyata. Srila the Kapil Dev is explaining that bhakti is like digestion. When you eat food, then you don't know how it's going on. But anyway, the food becomes digested by the fire of digestion. So bhakti is like the fire of digestion that digests food. What is the food here? In this example, your shukshma sharir. We have a physical body just made of 5 elements, and it's changing throughout our life from childhood to youth, adult life and old age. But we feel inside throughout that life, I am the same person. We have a mind, we have an intelligence, we have an ego, and we have a chitta full of samskars. And that's the subtle body. And this is who I think, oh, this is me. This is my personality. And we're very attached to that. And what is bhakti? Bhakti is the fire that digests the subtle body. Gone. The mind, that is our conditioned personality. All of our thoughts and feelings and the likes and dislikes and preferences and prejudices, everything, it is imposed upon our soul by so many lifetimes of karma. And so the person who has Paramarthik Shraddha has come to enter into this fire that will burn away the entire subtle body. Otherwise, how will the Shuddha Hankar, the pure ego of the soul, exert its existence? How will the spiritual body of an associate of Radha Krishna manifest? Yes, I'm 12.5 years old. My complexion is like lightning. My cloth is like stars in the sky. And I'm from Switzerland, or Germany, or New Zealand, or Moscow. No. one's eternal spiritual identity, how will it manifest when we are polluted by the darkness of worldly upadhis, designations? So we should consider it very carefully and make the priorities in our life that our all in all and objective is the service of Radha and Krishna, the service of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Param Pujapad Srila Bhakti-Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, he used to say, die to live. Who you are? Ram Nam Satya Hai. Make a procession to the Ganga and set it on fire. Who you were before, be gone. Jesus Christ, once there was a funeral procession and Jesus Christ said, let the dead bury the dead. Those who are involved in the social activities and social identities of this world, someone is born, someone is dying, all of these things, they're all dead. Because the soul, which is the life, thinks it is the body and mind which is dead. Just as this wood has no awareness, it is jarred. So the earth, water, fire, and air and ether of this body have no awareness, it is jarred. And even the mind, the intelligence, the ego, and the chitta, they are all jarred like a stone. Only the mind, the chitta, is called Chaitan Abhas. It appears to be conscious. Why? Because the consciousness of the soul is reflected in it, and it gives the impression that the subtle body, that the mind, has some type of life or awareness. But it's also jarred. It's also insentient, inert. When will that Atmadeya Vivek, discrimination, come? That Gyan, to separate the self from the non-self. So we'll have to chant very deeply every day to realize these things. And engage in Guru Seva, Vaishnav Seva. Without Guru Seva and Vaishnav Seva, we cannot get sthir buddhi. We cannot stabilize our psychological state. Because the psychological state is always in the condition of existential dread. How will I live? How will I survive? What will I do? And so it's always oscillating. When we come into the association of Vaishnavas, and the life is only service. What service is next? This service, the next service, moving from seva to seva to seva, without any worldly consideration. Then we get sthira buddhi. The psychological body becomes steady. And then we can chant attentively. Otherwise, one will chant and become overpowered by worldly thoughts. So, in answer to your question, I'm not making any compromise. This reality should be understood. Die to live. And surrender fully. Not 98%. Krishna does not see the 98% that you give. He is looking at the 2% that you are keeping for yourself. And waiting. When will you give that? And just on a practical level, when you return, you think, I'm not returning to my country. The holy Dham, transcendental Vrindavan, is my home. And now I'm going on a mission of seva in this other place. Then you should think that your house, this is not my house, this is Krishna's house. And keep your altar there. And Krishna is the master of this house. And I am a servant in Krishna's house. So I am shopping and cooking only for Krishna and inviting others to take prasada. And as far as possible, associate with devotees, your spiritual brothers and sisters. Because if you'll choose the association of the materialists over the association of devotees, well, they're also on a mission. No one is sitting on the fence. We are Tatastha Shakti. So we can go this way or the other. So either we are preaching in the mission of Krishna or you are preaching in the mission of Maya. So because all the worldly persons, whatever they say, every word from their mouth has one characteristic. What is that? Mamaham eva durdiya vimohita vikatante mamaham iti durdiya. The symptom of a person in Maya is it's all about themselves. It's all about themselves. So they speak me, mine, me, mine, mine, me, I, like this. And they never speak about God and the service of God. They're the main character in their own nightmare. Krishna is the main character. Krishna is Adi Purush, the original person. And so the symptom of a person who is not in Maya is when they speak about Krishna and how to serve Krishna. And by hearing that sound, our consciousness changes. But conversely, by hearing the worldly persons who are speaking, Mamaham iti durdiya, every vibration that is coming from them is compounding and consolidating and building stronger and stronger bondage to material existence. This is why our Acharya speaks so much upon this subject, Shabda Samanya and Shabda Brahma. The Shabda Samanya, the material sound, is entangling us, all of our thoughts, in illusion, in a mirage. Just like a deer in the edge of the forest looks out into the desert and sees the heat haze is moving, and the deer thinks there's water there and chasing after that water. They're running, but the water is always the same distance away. And then the deer dies in the desert. So everyone who is not engaged in the service of Shri Krishna, what are they doing? What are they serving? They're running after a mirage of temporary, worldly happiness that will just disappear. They're dreaming of some utopia and perfect stage of happiness in life that they can never arrive at. And all their vibrations are only glorifying that mirage. Look at this beautiful mirage. Come with me, we can taste the water of this mirage together. Only this vibration. And only when we're in sadhu sangha, another vibration comes. There is eternal, unchanging, ever blissful reality. And you are related to that. And therefore, every word, every thought, every breath, every step, every action, we should perform for the pleasure of that Supreme Lord. This is the Shabda Brahma. And it has a completely different effect on our consciousness. And so, Rupa Gosvāmī Pad said, Sangatyagat Shatobrite Sadbhi Bhakti Prasiddhyati. Among the 6 things that make our devotional life successful is one should give up the association of worldly minded persons. If you have to go into the physical proximity of the worldly minded persons, then you should not have attachment. All attachment we reserve for Guru and Krishna. Proximity is not association. It's only association when there is proximity plus attachment. So being near to a worldly person will not make an effect. But being near plus attachment, then the negative effect will come. And also being with Vaishnavas is the same. Being near will not give the full fruit of association. One should be near and with attachment. And then one can experience the power of sadhu sangha. So try to follow these things. Otherwise, in the last moment of our life, we'll be ashamed that Shri Guru and Vaishnavas, they gave us good advice. But what happened? Like we heard the story yesterday. When Srila Bhakti Dayita Maharaj, before coming to the mat, he told his friends, let's go and hear Harikatha of Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. He said, oh, I need this time because I have to maintain my family. And then very soon he died. And everything went on well without him. Everything, the world was going on fine without him. But we have some ego that I am an important person and how can the world go on without me? And therefore, I have to sacrifice serving God to save the world. So, Jagannananda Pandit, in Prema Vivarta, there he says, Gora Bhaja Lokaraksha Ekatre Nishfal. Saving the world and doing bhajan to Gaura. If you put these two together, it will produce no fruit. You will not do bhajan to Gaura and you will also not save the world. So here, Lokaraksha, protecting the world, means from the material perspective. Of course, those who are doing bhajan to Gauranga, they are the real rakshak, the real protectors of the world. Because by their presence, by their kirtan and by their harikatha, they bring about the protection of the souls. They bring auspiciousness to all the souls. But trying to save the world in an economic, political and social sense, this is only one type of illusion. So, Lokaraksha, Gaurabhaja, Ekatre, Nishpal. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So, in the morning Qatar is very high. At the class at 10 o'clock, come at 10 o'clock for bhajans, 10:30 the morning class. Mukta Charita is very high. So I want to, in my classes, evening classes, ground the experience. It's very important. Something a bit bitter. When you eat the Karela before the meal, then the bitterness increases your ability to taste the meal. So if we pay attention to the very practical things, then you'll see that the relishment of the Harikatha of Braja is more sweet. So I want to, I'll continue with some very practical pastimes of Param Pujapad Srila Bhakti Dayita Maharaj in the evening. And then after that, I want to begin Srila Raghunath Das Goswami's Mana Shiksha. So this retreat is dedicated to Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. In the morning, Mukta Charita. In the evening, Mana Shiksha. Yeah. A good balance of his own poetry, his rasic poetry, and his poetry for practical life also. Gaur Premanande.